Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitcher or wherever you listen, tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group Frog Bros Video by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.
Hi, I'm Jameson Newlander, Alan Frog from the Lost Boys, and you're watching the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Let me get him!
It's refreshment time, folks.
I'm just gonna go watch a movie.
Do you like scary movies?
I don't watch movies.
I have to return some videotapes.
You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. Don't need a TV.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.
Over 1,600 titles, each for rent at just $2 the first night, and only
Finish it. I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but you are aware that there's an invention called television, and on this invention they show shows, right?
It's a laser disc.
Okay, I want channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and the Weather Channel.
Welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast with your hosts, Justin and Alec.
Hello, and welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast. My name is Justin, this is Alec, and our executive producer, automatically making us 100% more beautiful than the week before, Jerry Reifeis. Welcome, Jerry.
Jerry, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Jerry accompanied us to Ghostbusters Fan Fest in the 2019th year, and in the 2021st year, he was a part of our New York Premiere party group as well. So,
indeed,
absolutely.
These three gentlemen
Justin
here
convinced me to go to both, so I listened to him and had a great time in both locations. We did LA and New York.
Yes, we've done it all. We've we've seen most of the Ghostbusters.
Third base is a long way behind us.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And we both slept with this man.
Yep.
On different
literally
different
slept
trips.
with Alec.
I slept with him in LA. You slept with him.
We shared him.
Yeah.
Between the two cities.
Did you guys wake up like planes, trains, and automobile styles?
Yeah.
Any hands?
Yeah, except we didn't. That was intentional. I knew it was Jerry when I kissed his hand, though. I was just like...
We just did it for the shits and giggles for the quotes. That was the only reason why.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. There was no actual sex. Hold on, this is my best attempt at the Phoebe wink.
That was so on point.
I love that shit.
So,
we'll be getting into that later, but...
So how this episode's going to go. We're going to talk a lot about our trip to New York for the premiere, all the sightseeing we did, that whole bit. We'll get in a little bit into our initial reactions of the movie. Maybe talk a little bit of spoilers there, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But I will throw out this disclaimer. So we did attempt to record a brief episode of the podcast after the YHS party.
Which I'm gonna listen to and see if I can throw in this.
Yeah. Shit, I forgot.
But if there's anything really bad, it's not going there. Because we were fucking wasted.
We were pretty wasted. It was like 10, 15 minutes, I think, something of just gibberish.
I think it was like
I don't even know.
10 or 12 minutes in. And
But it might be really hilarious, so you never know.
Yeah,
But if it's anything that's like, oh, we're going to lose our jobs, well, that's not going up.
Do a little montage of it, just sprinkle
yeah.
out.
Luckily, there's no video of that either, but that was from the hotel room and the SD card on this board. So
yeah, all I'll say about that night is that pizza was good.
Yes, saved my life. That pizza.
God. That was a good call. Liz didn't go to the YHS party because she signed up for the trip after.
She ain't got no ticket to that event.
Well, she had a good time. She watched a Chiefs game, had some wine, hung out, and watched a good game in the room. So,
and she wanted to come over tonight, but it was like late, and she's like, I don't want to be up that late. I got to work early. I got to be up at like 6 for work. I'm like, fair enough. But she tagged along for the adventures too.
She had to work virtually?
No, in the morning. She's got to work 6 tomorrow, so she didn't want to be out tonight.
Okay. Oh, gotcha.
We record late and we're usually off track, so.
Who gives a fucking shit?
No, just kidding, Liz. If you're listening to this, just kidding.
I don't know if she'll listen or not. I don't know. I'll have to ask. So, we start out. We get the invite from Ghost Corps. Hey, we're doing this premiere in New York City. And it was like, once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, 100%.
This.
Oh my God.
Has to happen.
That was the reaction.
Well, at first I was a little skeptical because I thought, hey, we're just gonna go out there and watch it first before anybody else in a theater. I was like, well, okay.
Only 5 days, arguably, before the day of release.
Yeah, and I was like, well, is it worth the trip and the money and all that stuff? But then, talking to you guys and then finding out more, is like, oh shit, we're gonna be able to actually maybe interact with some of the stars, or at least go out to the film sites.
A little more happened than what they told us we were able to witness, and because they're not going to say that you're going to get this and this and this, and then not be able to give it to the group that we were a part of.
Right, and then just looking back at the LA Fan Fest in 2019, right? And just the experience that we had, and one of the best parts of that trip, obviously all the fun, fandom, nerd, geek out stuff during the day, but afterwards when we went out to try to find the GB2 location whenever they're drilling into the street, and we were a little 3 sheets to the wind on that, I was like, that was like one of the more fun times I've had in a long time with fellow ghost head nerds, and I was like, man, if we can do that in New York,
absolutely.
I'm in.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And Alec mapped this trip out beautifully, I would say. He had a pretty good game plan. Like, I did the LA planning, and this time he jumped in and had it all just, into his phone.
Well, it was like, I asked, too, if there's any other sites you want to see, tell me, and I will map it out on here, too. Because I was pretty thorough with at least the ones that you can tell what they are. Even though Raise a Cult, you can't very well.
Yeah,
but it was like, well, this one's kind of cool, and it's kind of in the way, so...
That's always been on my list, because I've been to New York a couple times before, but never went there, and I never went to Peter's apartment, so a couple of new things for me. So we'll get into that, I'm sure. But
yeah, so we get this call, we get the invite, so we're like, okay, we're gonna make this happen. We're part of the Midland Empire Ghostbusters. It's our buddy Nick, that's sometimes the producer around here, depending on what he's got going on. What a wiener! He was up in the air about it, He didn't, he's like, he's back and forth. Couldn't figure it out. Didn't know if he could make it happen. I mean, I get it. It's a big expense. It's a big expense, right? And there's a lot of people in the community I heard having that kind of last minute conversations too, like, how the hell do I make this happen? And and just unfortunately he wasn't able to, but we had all kind of rallied in, so at least we had 4 of us there. That we've all done events, and so there's 4 of us there representing the group and representing the podcast and hanging out with everybody that we met at FanFest, and even after FanFest, like all the fans we met and have communicated with since then, it's just like an awesome thing to see those people again now that you know them a little bit better than like a mere acquaintance, right? So it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, and meet some more new people and all that good stuff.
So we're like, okay, how are we going to book this trip, right? We got to figure it out. Like, we want to do it efficiently as possible without going crazy and going broke for it, right? So.
Yeah, and breaking it up between the south part of Manhattan and the northern part and everything like that, and be able to hit all the main sites.
That all really worked out. I mean, I guess the main hesitation point for you and for Nick was the 2016 premiere was a huge event in LA, so there's a bunch of room on the street, and there's hundreds of fans out there that were able to go out there and do that and partake in that, and we just weren't in the community to that level at that point. I mean, I've always loved Ghostbusters and never haven't, but I just wasn't in the fandom. I had other stuff going on at the time. It really wasn't the top of the priority. So obviously I went and saw the movie release day and all that stuff, but I didn't have that kind of camaraderie around here to have a travel group. And they say, well, with COVID concerns, there's going to be limited capacity for the red carpet here. Okay, so that scared a lot of people away, but at the same time I'm like, I don't care. It's a gamble. I'm going to go. I'm going to go see all the sites again, because I went in 2006 and I saw a bunch of the sites, and
yeah, but it's different though.
It's completely when you're with other people that appreciate it to that level.
Because when I've been, or go ahead.
Yeah, it's completely breathtaking because you're with people that appreciate it, right? Because if you're just kind of there, you're with other friends or casual friends or whatever. People are like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever.
That's why I love the LA trip so much, because I've been to LA, whatever, but nothing like with fellow nerds that know the movie as much as I do, and the sites, and been out there before with work or friends or with the wife or whatever, and they don't care. They don't
yeah,
care
they're
like I
just
do.
like, can we get past this part of the trip to do the other stuff that we want to do?
Can I
no,
go see
this
that
is the
firehouse
trip.
again? Like, really? And like, no, but with you guys, obviously, it was like a whole different experience, which was awesome. And then we're like quoting, like most guys do. We quote when movies while we talk to each other.
Yeah,
and that's one of the most relevant movies that we can quote. And we quoted the entire weekend for most anything. Yeah. And it worked. So that was a lot of fun.
That's one of those things that a lot of people think can be overdone quoting the movie, but I feel like when you're on the film sites, you got to do it to the maximum because it's like you're there and you're experiencing it. And even LA, it was different too because we were all in our gear too, so even it's just like even more requirement. But I just didn't feel like lugging around and wearing that around New York City. So
well, yeah, there's a few things
especially
like
when you go to the premiere and stuff.
At FanFest, you kind of had like a base station to kind of set up, and you had enough people there. But with this, it was like, yeah, we're gonna be running all over town, and there's a lot of fans we ran into.
We're just on the lot in LA.
Yeah.
You know, besides going to find a few sites where they filmed, like the firehouse or, you know.
Yeah, sure. Like that, yeah, I was really surprised how many people were fully geared out. And then, you know, people that could drive up or whatever did that. And that's really cool. But for me, like after the FanFest experience, I was like, no, I'd rather be more comfortable the whole time. Obviously, I had Ghostbusters shirts and stuff. I wore all week. Or a couple of days we were there. But whole other thing. So really exciting to get out there. And then we find out, yes, Half Some's having this premiere night party at Barcade up there.
Sunday night.
50 tickets, so we get in right on that as it happens. We all jumped in, got our tickets, and you weren't even 100% committed to the trip at that point. But you're like, if I'm gonna go, I gotta make this happen.
That's the first thing I bought was the pre-premiere party ticket, just so I can have a ticket to go with you two, and then I figured out everything else. So,
and that really worked out too. But I mean, well, let's break it down. So Jerry flew in Saturday afternoon. And you have some other friends and stuff you saw from up there, right? So you kind of just did your own thing to get up there and get established.
I was up till 4 a.m. waiting for you guys. And then
which actually worked out really well because we booked the same hotel. And it's a good thing we booked an extra room because we were debating like sharing the room, and that room was way smaller than what we thought it was. That would have been a disaster.
Be a couch in it.
And so we were at least able to drop off all of our gear because I was lugging around podcast gear. So I have this hard case full of mics and a board, which is pretty heavy. And then I had the bag that had all my personal belongings in it and like all these mic stands and other heavy shit.
Hold on a second. Check. Just making sure the system didn't just get fucked because of Booker.
Okay.
It is recording, right?
Currently still, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But he's just like, let me just fucking run into these cables real quick because this podcast is happening and that's not good.
Yeah, he doesn't like it since he can't speak.
Well, I picked up all the cables on this side.
It's just they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Right.
He literally was like trying to turn around through that. I was just like, you nut job.
So we get in there Sunday morning. Like did you even go to bed, Alec?
No. So this is the thing.
He got to my house at like 1:30.
What is it? Saturday night?
Yeah.
So Saturday night. Let me talk for a minute. Damn.
Oh.
He's like, what are we gonna like try to narrate, get in sync here? I'm really high also. I took a few blunts to the face.
He's
while
3
we were,
deep right now. So
You're stoned out of your mind, man.
What else?
While we were getting ready to record.
Smoke weed every day.
So anyway, yeah, I had laundry to do, and there's a whole complicated thing going on with my apartment, so I couldn't do laundry. And I was like, I'm gonna have to do laundry at your place. And you had already, like, you were going to wake up at that point. You guys were, like, adamant about being there super early, like, and me being at your place super early so she could drop off the dogs and all that stuff. So there was, like, a whole bunch of, it was like I was there at 1 a.m. at his his place.
Our house, yeah.
And our flight left at 6 a.m. So I did laundry. We threw on Men in Black.
So you got there at 1 a.m. then did laundry?
He did one load of laundry,
Jesus. Why didn't you get there earlier?
Because I was sleeping for a little bit.
I usually go to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So it's like, there was no point. If I have tried to sleep, I would have just not. So I just stayed up.
Okay.
And then that puts Sunday into a whole new perspective. Everything we did that day and how much happened. Like, I had no sleep. I had a couple coffees, though, and my God, that vegan French toast.
That was good. That was really good.
Yeah. the place we went for brunch or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Cappuccino I had there.
Yeah, I had some good coffee. I had a bagel and some pizza because I was in New York City and I got to do the New York City things.
The only thing we didn't do
They were
with you
delicious.
that you should have done was the subway, but it just didn't play out. We needed to get places
my work
faster.
got involved or ruined that. I had a couple calls.
Yeah,
but-
you also didn't pay for any heroin for me, but I did see plenty.
Yeah, we saw plenty of people doing heroin on the
I
streets.
remember you said that. The guy was sitting there shooting up right when you were
And I was
by.
literally like, is there a camera nearby me? Are they filming something? Because it looked
Yeah.
like a fucking movie-esque heroin user. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
wow, this is you're stereotyping yourself. And actually, it's just, it made me sad because it's like, man, these people need some fucking help.
Yeah.
Get this shit out of here. It's just making me sad.
Yeah.
I don't hate those people. I want them to get help. Just to be clear. It was just, it's horrifying to see, and you're like shocked because it's just out of nowhere. You see somebody literally like pulling the needle back, sitting on the side of the sidewalk, and then around the corner, it's just like this woman in her mink coat and a police officer.
Well,
She's watching him beat off into a Starbucks cup. Semen is another kind of milk.
Oh, that's terrible. No, so yeah, we had this crazy night. I think I probably slept 2 hours before Alec got over there, and then we watched Men in Black, which was fucking fitting. I was like, well, I don't want to watch Ghostbusters right
you're
now.
gonna land in LaGuardia and drive by the UFO thing.
Yeah, well, it's another New York film. It's like basically.
I'm mad that we
Ghostbusters
didn't go to the
adjacent.
other thing in Battery Park, the opening. But
Yeah, but
Their headquarters.
Yeah,
right?
I just didn't realize that was the park that it was at.
No.
That we were at the time, because otherwise I'd been like, why aren't we going there real quick? Because we're right there. But you know,
Makes
it
you
happens.
Go back.
So we got in and I think we got to the hotel and then we were out of there within like 45 minutes because we had all these little swag bags we brought. We threw them all together really quick, like kind of as a team, a production team, which if we were drug dealers, we'd be really fucking good at because those things went together fast. Mm-hmm. That assembly line was beautiful.
Which we handed out packs of cards from the Coca-Cola Monsters of the Gridiron packs, where it's basically football players dressed up as furries.
Yeah, but it's like Halloween monsters.
But like their weird nicknames.
Right. Did you ever find that Derek Thomas?
I do have one.
I'm not asking for it. I just like to see it.
I could show you afterwards. I mean, there's probably...
We can probably find you the whole set at some point, maybe.
Or close to it.
So, we get in there, we get all that together, and then we zip down to... Well, we went down as far south as Manhattan as you can go, basically.
Yeah, we went to the museum first. Yeah, the museum!
Yep.
Doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it was the whole time, right?
We went to, the man cave hole, the manhole
said anything
cover.
about the museum, yeah.
Yeah.
And Liz was a trooper. She took our pictures and did the whole thing. And while we were like pretend fighting, coming out of the manhole cover,
doing all this silly shit.
Well, that was the first time she was getting to see. I mean, she was there for Twister, so I'm sure she was kind of expecting it. But this was worse, obviously. It's on a much geekier level.
Yeah.
Like Ghostbusters is number one. Twister's it's in the top 100 and probably top 50. I don't know where to place it necessarily in that because that might start getting tougher, but it's up there and I do love it, so I was glad to do that. But it's not Ghostbusters by any means. So this was like, I'm sure she was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. I just married this man. I wish I should have postponed that.
I told Justin, like, you probably sprung this trip on her after she said yes, so she couldn't get out of it.
Well, no, I mean, we were talking about it, and then originally she's supposed to be working Sunday for one of her coworkers that needed the whole day off, and then her coworker's like, hey, if he's going to that, you got to go to that too. And so, like, that's kind of like how she finally got coverage to do that. And I was like, okay, well, we'll make it happen. But I told her, I was like, here's how this shit's going to work. I was like, we're going to fucking nerd out, and we're going to go to all these fucking sites, and it's going to be kind of hectic. So, I mean, she kind of knew what she was getting into up for it. Yeah, so she was a good sport.
Yeah, she was.
She, I think, got a little bit worn out at the very end, but I mean, I think we're all fucking coasting into town on fumes by the time we all got back home.
But then we ended on a good note.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, yeah, that last bar we went
It was just Columbus Circle that was really bad, where I could tell the morale of the group was bad, but I was like, there's one more fucking film site, and I don't care if I have to drag your asses there. We're going just because...
The Tavern on the Green.
Yeah.
It wasn't far from there, so it was like, we may
it's
as well.
there. It's just, it's kind of tricky to figure out where to go.
It actually makes sense, Lewis's path running out of the apartment, over by Tavern on the Green and emerging there. once he's possessed. It makes perfect logical sense once you see the layout and walk it yourself. You're like, holy shit.
That's even better, though, actually having seen that and seeing how, like...
Yeah, you're understanding more about the movie almost. Like, you're able to fill in blank spots and shit. It's cool.
Yeah, you're like, okay, so he would have ran down this way anyway. So.
And then when you see where Stay Puft comes from, as opposed to where Dana's apartment is, you're like, oh, even fucking better. It's just more pieces to the puzzle.
So we kind of went out on the little pier out there and checked out the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, there was Statue of Liberty out here, you know.
How to do that.
But, you know, I bet she has a dick under that. Up under that, it's a big Harry Johnson just hanging there. Probably got a couple warts on it. Because it's the olden days, balls. You know.
The olden
They didn't have creams and ointments like they do nowadays.
But they still had cream pies. Believe you me.
Well, didn't we go to breakfast before? No, we completely forgot half of that. That was the first film site we went. No?
The museum was the first. And then,
the museum. No, we went by Rockefeller Plaza before that, didn't we? Because we went to breakfast, and then we went to Times Square.
No, you're right, because the first thing we saw was the Times Square advertisement, right? In the video. So that was like one of the first things we saw. Slime Square Slime. Yes. And then we went to
the Nintendo store, which is fucking amazing, especially for a Nintendo fan. Our friend of the podcast, Nathan, one of Alex's best friends, saw that, and I could tell there's a little envy there. He's like, oh, that's a cool store.
Cool. Honestly, yeah, I wish he could have gone instead of me because I was very underwhelmed. Yeah. I was like, oh, there's 30 products for sale in a 2-decker store.
Yeah, I mean, there was...
Eat my fucking ass. I mean, that's cool for everyone else. I'm just not a...
I'm a Nintendo fanboy at heart, but I wish they would do a little bit more there. But it's still cool. It's the only one in the really the world, supposedly. I think Japan's got some things like at the Universal Park. But anyway, went there, got a couple things, and then saw Rockefeller. You know, before they lowered where the ice skating rink is now, like where the golden statue is and everything, where the Ghostbusters run up when they're getting chased by the security guard.
Yeah, so we got to check
that was
that
like
out.
our first official site, kind of, for Ghostbusters, right?
Montage site from...
Yeah, montage site, yeah, exactly.
But still.
But, you know, it was pretty incredible. So then we jumped in the Uber and went down the island.
Yep.
Saw the museum. Then we went to World Trade Center.
The museum.
Yeah, the museum.
The museum.
I was doing it. I was letting you continue. I'm just really baked, so don't mind me.
So we see the World Trade Center, right? And you have to go there if you're going to be that close.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. When I was there in 2006, it was all basically still a lot of construction, a lot of cleanup and everything. So very somber, but very well done down there. I thought it's pretty classy and pretty neat.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
And I think that was probably about as quiet as we got on the entire trip. Everyone was just kind of taking that in and just kind of doing their own thing and just absorbing it for what it is. And then... I mean, it was just the 20th anniversary, right? So, yeah.
I have nothing that I can do as a soundboard button that would, I guess the closest thing I have is,
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, kind of there, yeah.
I hate when Justin gets sentimental on our podcast.
Yeah. He doesn't like when I get too serious, so he's like, you son of a bitch.
So, I wanted to make some sort of 9/11 joke, but just know that there's no proper soundboard button here for it.
If you want a 9/11 joke, just watch Family Guy. Seth MacFarlane gives 0 fucks.
I mean, it's 2021. No one's watching that shit anymore.
I mean, I think kids and families are maybe. But anyway, so then after that, we go to the fucking holy grail of Ghostbuster sites.
Yeah, the firehouse.
Hook and Ladder number 8 in Tribeca. And they just finished doing the facade of this building and like redoing it and upgrading and kind of remodeling it, right? So it looks fucking amazing out there now. It's all cleaned up, and then they've got the 2 logos like painted on the sidewalk in front.
They've had those logos for some time, but the new is like the fan donated no ghost sign.
Yep.
That they put on the side door in a window above.
Didn't the Buffalo Ghostbusters organize that?
Yeah, the Buffalo Ghostbusters organized this, crowdfunded, right? And they're like, hey, we're just going to get this. I think it's their Big Bad Toy Store. Nick in our group has it. It's the full. It's listed as a full-size replica sign. It's not. It's pretty big, though. It's impressive.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's also not like waterproofed or sealed or anything like that. It's made to be inside your house, right? So they get this, they donate it to them, but their crowdfunding source is so good that they're able to actually commission a sign shop to do a real proper job and get it up there. And so They hung that on the front of the building, just kind of sideways for now. And I
think it's because of fire codes and stuff with their building. Like the building codes don't allow it to hang the way it does in the movie. So it's hanging the other way. They're trying to work around it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Even if not, just having it there is kind of cool.
They
still.
can probably get away with it. Right?
Either way, it's a permanent.
Maybe.
I think they're just like, well, we're not going to be those guys.
And it was just.
Sorry, we're not going to be those guys.
Anyway, they had it kind of just chained and hanging for now because the premiere, right? And so the garage door was open when we get there, and so like I felt like Dana walking in at first because like I kind of go in there and I don't see anybody in there.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
No one kind of like paying any attention. You're like,
I did see a Diet Coke.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
But right inside you see the Ghostbusters 2 sign, which is the Screen Use Ghostbusters 2 sign, right? They still have that in there, and that got damaged a little bit on one side, which is the whole reason.
My pants got tighter seeing that in person for sure.
They used to have it on the other side, on the left side, when I've been there before, and then they moved everything, and then they made that shrine of all the different Ghostbuster stuff and the patches and things like that.
They have a really cool Instagram account now too that they're sharing. I
started following that since you told me that. Yeah,
and a lot of the fan group patches that have made the pilgrimage, I guess you could say, there have donated those, and they sell some shirts and stuff too, which are really awesome. So I don't know. I'm assuming the profits just go to Firefighters Foundation for up there, which is obviously a good charitable cause. So
yeah, and it was nice because I know the next day they had Murray and Ernie and
McKenna Grace and an Ecto One showed up
on the next day. So we were like kind of bummed that we missed that, but in hindsight.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, but same time, like we had an awesome opportunity to get some awesome shots, and it wasn't overcrowded. Like there was 100 people down there.
Would have been a better shot with Bill Murray was in it.
Yeah,
but he was just kind of walking. He wasn't like taking shots with people. He was just kind of.
I could have kissed him.
Alec would have been
on the lips.
You would have not made it to the premiere if you did that.
Yeah.
But imagine
I wouldn't have bailed you out. I'd have just let you wait and been like, well, when the movie's over now, I guess we can figure something out maybe.
But I would have mouth kissed Bill Murray, and nobody else would have.
That's true.
Well, that would also be a sexual assault, I think.
So. Not necessarily. Only if he doesn't receive it. What if he just started making out with me? What if he then started? What if it just then turned into us fucking?
Only you would find a way to talk about you having sex with Bill Murray.
Just try to get real weird with it.
Oh, it always happens.
Surrounded by a bunch of people in Ghostbusters outfits.
Yeah, but to your point, Jerry, though.
So that way he can say he slimed me.
We had a lot of open space there to do photos and everything else.
Speaking of open space.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go there.
No, so we did a bunch of photos. We were there probably 20 or 30 minutes, but you guys had to run to the ATM.
Probably longer than that, though.
Yeah. Pro tip, if you ever go there, they only take cash, so make sure you have cash.
And then the ATM we went to wasn't working. We had to find a CVS. It was a minute, but we got our shirt. It was cool. Talked to the firefighter for a minute, but
he told me to fuck off, and I don't remember why, but it was hilarious.
Oh, we didn't have...
Oh, it was when he was asking about, and he was like, so how many of this shirt? And I was like telling him,
2 medium,
I was responding, and he was like, fuck off.
And he's like, what do you want, lady? And then he went and took her order only while we went and got
I was like, that's New York for you.
I didn't know this. Last time I was there, they didn't have in front of it was just a parking lot. Now that's a full, nice apartment building, not too tall.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, how awesome would it be to be able to live right in front of, Hook and Ladder 8, and then watch Ghostbusters. You turn outside your living room window, and there's the firehouse.
How could you ever have a bad day living by that building?
Oh my God,
I don't think you could.
Awesome. I told Debbie, I was like, I think we're gonna move the kids.
I think we gotta find a new spot here.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, so that was pretty incredible, and then we hit a few other stops that day. We hit up Peter's apartment.
Wait.
Yep.
Yes.
Was that was right after, right?
Yeah, we went straight to Peter's apartment. Yep.
Where Oscar was hanging out on the ledge, and then what after that? What do we do?
Hit Raise a
Cult. Get my baby.
Raise a Cult. Yep.
Raise a Cult. So if you're familiar, look at the shots. There's this tree kind of in the sidewalk there that you'll see that's actually still there. So that's
the staircase.
Yeah, that's the most distinguishable stuff. But
and then the staircase. Yeah, the staircase with the red painting underneath. Yeah. That was the other one.
So that was pretty awesome just to see that. And then we went back to get ready for the barcade. Went and had some sushi, some vegan sushi. Jerry's a good sport. Liz and I are vegan, so he tried some vegan food. And
I had a lot of vegan food.
You did. You had vegan breakfast, and vegan dinner.
That was and then I didn't mind it. I didn't care. It didn't. I mean, hindsight, like I told you, Saturday night caught up to me. If I had like a greasy cheeseburger in my belly versus vegan sushi, maybe I would have been a little
Yeah, but
better.
we also didn't. So we had a strategy going in, right? So when we went to the YHS party, right, we get there basically right on time, and we walk down there because like, why not, right? I mean, we could have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just had like the pre-party jitters and was like, okay, I got to walk over there, just kind of like hype up for it, right? So we get there like right as it's opening up, and we're some of the first people in there. We got there right away.
Yep.
Which is awesome, of course. The whole YHS crew's there. John Yercaba's there. You know, all the other fans that we've met are there. You know, I can't tell you how many people we talked to there. And
I mean, out of the notable other like community figureheads, you know, there's people like, I mean, Bob Anderson and a lot of the like Charles Fincher was there.
Yeah, we played we were playing.
He was in the line passing out the strips.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so
for the proton,
obviously, and then
cable.
Charles Fincher's ribbon cables. If you're not
ribbon cable,
into the Ghostbusters community as much as we are, he makes very screen accurate ribbon cables. In
I got that.
They use some of those in the production of the film. They ordered from him. So
He of course had stickers as well. So got a sticker and some ribbon cable bits that were
see that
just
sticker.
discarded parts that he
never
was
got
handing
his-
out.
Okay, that's cool.
yeah, so if you don't have, I got an extra one of those if you want. But
yeah,
his cables are top notch, and so we were playing some games with him and chatting with him, and we basically chatted with everybody that we kind of came across and
Tried to talk to some new people too. There was a couple random people we talked to because
we
were socially lubricated.
Yeah,
I got to play Jacob in some Primal Rage.
Yeah,
that's right.
We met.
And then I kicked your guys' ass, both of you, several times in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
like I even picked new characters every time just to make it fair, and none of you guys beat me.
I had never played Mortal Kombat in an arcade before.
Just for the record, Mortal Kombat 2, yeah. And then, but did.
Well, not that one. I played 4 in an arcade, I suppose, once.
Alec didn't know any of the special moves. Like I still remembered like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, some of their basic stuff. So the staples, right? You got to know those.
I was too young. The nostalgia for me when I
That
was
was
young playing with those.
Yeah.
Well, you were trying to play games, and we were trying to network and socialize.
Yeah, you guys
and
had
stuff.
another agenda. I was like there for the booze and the arcades and the Ghostbusters
I will say, though,
stuff.
I do believe we got our money's worth of booze. At least I did. Everyone's like, what are you doing?
good.
I'm like, man, we're spending a lot of money here. I don't want to spend a lot of money after. And it was
That was
well worth
good.
it was well worth every
And
cent of it.
I didn't want to get sloppy. I got pretty drunk though, but
Yeah. No, it was worth it. And then
I think I had 2
the posters. The 2-size posters were.
Yeah, who was giving the posters out?
I believe his name's Joshua.
That was a nice
fucking
surprise.
starts with an H. Fuck.
One of them's right
Emmerich?
here.
Is that how it?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then obviously we ran into the Shreks, the Shrek family Ghostbusters collection.
Yeah.
We met the Mr. and Mrs. there, so they're pretty cool. It's Jeff and I forget his wife's name, but they're also in our screening of Ghostbusters. So Jeff, if you're listening to this, when we went to get our ecto cooler because other people were in our seats, that was our ecto cooler. Damn it! So we went back to get it.
Yeah.
That was a stressful moment.
That was very
It
stressful.
was, 'cause I'm
once
like-
we went downstairs, I was like, ah!
Everything was going. The whole trip was awesome. Get in there, and then I know we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but fuck, we didn't have our high-C ecto cooler because people took our seats, and then we had to scramble to go find some.
Yeah, and then there's 4 of us in our group there, right? Or technically 5 because we had a. Who else was with us in line? And we
The
ran
guy
into him?
from South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff.
Oh yeah, that was the other
Yeah.
Jeff. There's
Okay.
a couple Jeffs. Jeff Wisnant, is that how you say his last name?
Dude, I'm tired of butchering people's names. This is Jeff for now.
Jeff
Jeff W. You know who you are, and we appreciate you if you
Yeah.
listen to this.
Yeah, so he was. We ran into him at the library when we get to that, but
Either way, we got these excellent challenge coins from Yes Have Some Podcast and GB fans at the event, which some of you are probably well aware of, and some of you are very jealous of, and that's okay because it's something I have. So.
Yeah, those are badass. AJ Quick was able to pull those off for the YHS crew, and AJ Quick was hanging with YHS, and he was with them at the Comic-Con as well. So
yeah,
obviously, if you know AJ Quick, he runs GB Fans, probably the premier Ghostbusters fan site out there. The boards are amazing if you're doing a build. His shop is otherworldly, basically, with all the stuff he's got on it. I know he sold stuff to Sony for the production of this movie too. Just his shit's that accurate, and he has that basically everything you want to do a build on there, basically. So obviously we're in good company there, right?
Yeah.
Had a hell of a time. And then while we're playing, like Charles Finchers gets up and he's like, holy shit, Jason Reitman's here.
Yeah.
And then as YHS described on their show, they're like, no one has any fucking cool because everybody basically like fucking ran over there and like fucking crowded him.
I'm not one of those people. I went over there enough to go so I could get a view, but I was definitely 20 feet away from that guy.
Yeah, that's why in some of the photos when he did that selfie, like I was kind of, you can see my hat tilted down because I'm like, man, we're already crowding him right there.
I'm in the very back of, like, as long as it's not cropped, I'm in the very back, just like.
Yeah.
You see Alec there, and then of course I've got my Yes Have Some hat on, so like you just kind of see.
He's looking down, so you see the fucking hat, and that's it, just like popping.
And I'm
out.
like, well, I at least know I was there. So
yeah,
right.
And then he was signing some stuff, and he's kind of moving around. But before he showed up, Eric from Ghost Corp showed up, which obviously Eric is a hell of a dude. He went through the trouble of making this happen for the fans. So if you're listening, shout out. He knocked it out of the park for us. And he showed up first, kind of scoped the party out, and then Jason showed up, and just to have their commitment and level to interacting with the fans and knowing that like we're all there for that was really, really awesome of them to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick, you should have been there.
Yeah, you should have been there, Nick.
Yeah.
It was really just incredible. And, Jason's always been so well-spoken and so kind about everything, and I was able to give him a pack of our stickers, and, obviously Kansas City is where we're from, had to give a shout-out to the Big Slick tournament. So I was like, hey, man, next time you talk to Paul, it's because I assume they're on a first-name basis, right? I was like, ask him about the Big Slick in Kansas City. We'd love to have you at it, right? So, I don't know. We'll see. So if Jason shows up to Big Slick this next year,
that'd be fun.
we'll be very happy to.
Tournament at Kaufman Stadium.
Yeah, hell yeah. We'll hope to have some Ghostbusters Afterlife fans and crew there for this year.
And Jason was he was obviously super cool, and he was approachable, but you could tell like you didn't want to crowd him, like you said. Like I didn't want to do that either. I'm not the guy to just rush up and like just start talking to him, but kind of ease in to see if he can get at least something. And he was just worn out because he's been traveling the world doing these premieres and everything, but he was still gracious enough to still come hang out with the hardcore fans, have a drink.
Yeah, and they were there for a little bit. It wasn't like they just popped in for 2 minutes.
He was there for like 45 minutes to an hour ish, and signed a few posters, and I gave him a fist bump and thanked him for his work for the movie, and
once
super nice guy.
And once people realized like the initial thing rolling off, like he didn't want to do selfies with people, but people are like getting photos of people talking with him, which is fine, right? It's more candid than a posed photo, but
right.
Once people calmed down a little bit, he was signing a few things and just having some interactions and stuff, which is really cool because, I mean, your late night on the night before the premiere, man, like to come through like that was awesome.
As you can see behind Justin's head, you probably won't be able to see the signature, but there is a signed little Ghostbusters Afterlife poster with Jason's signature right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful addition to our set. Also at this party, I got a hold of one of these Crypt Creepers Mini Munch Golden Premiere Edition from Crypt Creeper Toys, which is Tony Taylor Toys, and Yes Have Some Podcast.
That's another
collaboration.
Top-notch name there, too. Tony, man, like we ran into him at the party, and then we ran into him again at the library.
At the library, yeah.
Yep. Hell of a dude, man. Like, so cool, so laid back. Very talented, too. Like, we chatted a little bit, man. He's only been doing some 3D modeling for like a year, and like he's already knocking this stuff out of the park. So you're like, damn, dude. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's like one of 8, he said, right?
Yeah, the gold munchers, yeah. And I missed the regular muncher going on sale, so or the book stack.
Oh yeah,
so
Sinister Stack. So I've got 2 of theirs, and they've only released 1 technically. I think their next release is the Mini Munch.
Yeah, but if you're not following
it's regular
him already,
blue,
you've got
one.
Crypt Keeper Toys and then Tony Taylor Toys, so he's got some awesome stuff out there. So check that out. But yeah, that party was amazing, man. We really went through and had a blast, just spending time with everybody, chatting with everybody, playing some games, just kind of interacting with all these fans, all these people that you've kind of like,
it was fun because also like, sorry.
Oh no, go for it.
Like, remember we were all playing was it Daytona USA or whatever, the racing game, and with another guy, I don't know, the guy that had the kind of like the old school Ghostbuster leather cap or something. I didn't get.
Yeah,
his
that's
name.
Charles Fincher.
Yeah.
Oh, Fincher. Oh yeah, Fincher was there's another guy though. I can't remember.
You were sitting next to Charles when we were playing the racing game, yeah.
And then, that one, and then, when Charles was there, and then they had just the theme song, and then other Ghostbusters playlist going on from GB2 and the first, and then just like random stuff that was non-Ghostbuster related. That
It's
was
just have some stuff that's very like Guardians of the Galaxy songs and anything that was kind of like their podcasty. Abigail made that playlist.
Yeah. So I thought it was so cool. Like I'm listening, like this is a great sound playlist, and then playing video games with ghost heads and other people that just love the franchise like we do. And Jason Reitman's over there. Yeah. And we're just having great. I was like, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's unreal. Awesome. Yeah. It was a hell of a time. And, they knocked it out of the park getting all that squared away, and then just having those, Eric and Jason come through, and then just meeting all the other fans and everything. It was pretty special.
Yes. That was a good night. I spent a lot of time talking to Jacob for a while. Craig was a little more elusive just because I think he was more worried about things that were going on. And
well, they're hosting the party too.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
what I'm saying. Like,
I'm
not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying in a good, he was TCOB, and I think Abigail was also having just social anxiety issues, which I completely relate to. So the drinking helped me for sure, but other people might not drink or might not drink as much, or things like that. And
but I mean, I think
I get to say hi to her, so that was cool, just because
Yeah, we recognized it was her playlist because I knew it was her playlist. I heard Guardians. I was like, well, Craig could have put that on there for her. But then I heard Batman '89. Like,
well, they're talking about it on one of their podcasts.
Hell yeah,
that's how I knew too. Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then we went back to our hotel, pretty wasted.
Did that?
We drank some. We drank some. More, well, we attempted to drink some more. We attempted to record a podcast, and then we got some recovery pizza for you guys.
I may or may not throw in somewhere here, just depending on how bad it is.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the SD card to see what it said, so.
It says, fuck you.
Probably. So that's night one. So the next morning, obviously, we get up, and we're not screwing around because we have an agenda, right? So Liz and I went and had some vegan pizza at a pizza shop there, and it was badass. And they just had some vegan sausage they had, and they were talking about it when we walked in. They're like, oh, yeah, the vegan sausage. We're like, oh, yeah, that's new. And they're like, yeah, so we tried it. Fire.
Pretty good.
Really good.
Right.
Well, me and Jerry showered together, and then you
want to take a shower?
Water. Right?
No. I mean, do you want to go first?
Hey, Alec, can you get the socks out of the sink, please?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys didn't do photos of that just to fuck with each other. That'd have been so funny.
I know we should have.
If I hadn't already done the editing version of that with the Twister video, I probably would have done it for this.
Pat yourself with underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And we got food on the go because we were a little behind. And then
which was, what did we get there? It was a cool
little corner market that was a nice little spot.
I got a cold brew coffee and a chocolate chip muffin, which only had chocolate chips on the outside top.
Oh, that's always a scam, isn't it?
I was pissed. Like, literally none. So I ate like half of it just so I had some sustenance, and then I threw it away out of just anger.
Had the chicken parm sandwich, so I saved half of it for later for dinner, which I'm glad I did because didn't eat anything before the premiere.
Do you want some of this non-refrigerated chicken?
Yeah. Spoiler alert, you may not know that, but hopefully you've had time at this point.
That wouldn't be a spoiler if you hadn't said spoiler alert. That's one of those things that's like spoilers without context.
But they don't really... Yeah, I guess that's true. But we still don't know which part of that is, so it could be part A, part B.
That's the only line Venkman has.
Yeah, he says one thing.
And it's that shrimp line.
No, it wasn't Venkman. It was Gooberson.
I'm just fucking with you.
He's trolling the crowd.
Okay. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like, wait a minute.
You guys fucking with me?
Day 2, so where do we start at the library?
No.
Yeah, the library.
Yeah.
Library was cool.
Yeah, we did the library. Got to go into the reading room, which I had never done before. Because you have to be on a tour, and we kind of just snuck ourselves in.
I got a button from the library.
Let's not forget the library.
Yeah, each of us got a...
We all snagged one of these little lion ornaments, because those are amazing.
I wanted to grab some chair replicas and a bigger lion, but, I had to hold back.
They had some weighted lions that were, like,
expensive.
Cast, and you're like, oh, man.
I mean, that one was $16, but it was like, all right, it's one thing.
All I'm going to say is, Tony, if you're listening to this, I would like a lion scaled to the real-life statue to fit the 6-inch action figure line. I'm just saying. If someone wants to 3D print one of those or model it up, I'd be happy to get one.
He's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So we hit the library. We're out there doing a bunch of photos.
The library!
Being weird. As you would expect with us. And,
Got to go to the reading room. Got to go see like where they asked Alice if she was menstruating in the middle there.
Yeah, I liked sneaking in on that tour. That was good.
Yeah, and because we're timing it because you can't go in there unless you're studying, which we could have pulled it off. You had backpacks on, but we weren't.
We weren't in outfits.
We weren't in outfits like the other two guys that we met up with, and then.
Yeah, and some people did the tours as well, but they'd signed up, and so they were fine in their uniforms. But yeah, it was kind of one of those things where like
they ended up being interviewed for a documentary while we were in there, outside of the library.
Tony and Jeff did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Oh,
about literacy, I think too, of all things. Yeah, in front of a library, huh?
Who would have thought?
So that was awesome being in there and seeing that, because that was one of those. That's a harder spot to get into, right? For sure. And then going in, and the gift shop in there is amazing. That's a great little gift shop. But yeah, to your point, they had the little replica chairs and everything else, and some great stuff in there. So
yeah, that was just cool to see. That was one of the best sites. It's very iconic. And
I said the firehouse and the library are like one of the for me, and the museum
and Dana's. I mean.
Oh yeah, well
building.
Of course the building, the church. We'll get to that, but of course, yes. But that's like one of the first time seeing a ghost kind of thing. So I love that. And then we went up to Columbia.
Yes, that was the one that was like way out of the way, but worth it.
Upper West Side.
So the funny story about that, and it's not really funny because we didn't fucking stop, but we should have listened to Jerry's intuition.
Because it's actually not too funny because the poor guy has only one testicle left.
Yeah. So we drive by the AMC. Where the premiere is going to be at, and Ecto-1's just sitting on the street.
Just sitting there. I was
like,
hey, we should
do
stop,
we want to
take
stop?
a picture.
He's like, should we get out here and do pictures? And I was like, nah, it's going to be there later. Not realizing they probably just dropped it off from being at Hook and Ladder.
Yep.
They didn't have any of the... they basically had like a greenhouse-style like tent enclosure set up for the red carpet there. So when we get back, or when we're coming back later... When we drive by, like it's all covered up and you can't see anything, and I'm like, well, we missed the opportunity there because we debated stopping on the way back, but
yeah, we were like, we'll get it on the way back, but hindsight, right? We didn't
for
know.
Sure.
But
Columbia was awesome though because we were able to see obviously some of the opening shots from the movie, some of those iconic scenes there. So there's just some really good stuff.
Yeah, that was cool to see. And also, I watched Spider-Man 2002.
Okay.
The opening of the movie is at Columbia University, right where we were all walking and stuff, and where they walk up, you could see all the same places.
Oh, very cool.
And
the original Spider-Man?
Yeah, with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And where Uncle Ben gets shot
is like right outside
Columbus
there?
Circle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, there's like, I was like watching it, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this in here. Because, Peter Parker lives in Queens, so you're not expecting to see as much of Manhattan, but a lot of that movie is in Manhattan, because he moves to Manhattan, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was awesome anyway. So we do all the Columbia sites. We book it back to the hotel to get ready for the premiere.
We should have gotten a Crunch Bar and just done the whole scene.
Yeah.
There in Columbia, but
I did eat a Crunch Bar at my first viewing here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, nice. It was glorious.
So, book it back to the hotel, get ready for the premiere. Then we go up and kind of get in line, and they're like, "Well, you can't really get in line." So,
we went to Lincoln.
Oh yeah, on the way back, yeah. After we got ready, so we went up to Lincoln Circle and did that. So if you've seen our tour video, you'll see us, and it's not just Alec that did the little hopping and spinning around. We all did it.
We all did it. We had to.
Yeah, you're only there,
Well, and then we went over to see the church.
But yeah, what? Nobody wants to see 3 people doing that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and he's the one editing the video, so I was like, well, that makes sense. I'll give you credit for that one. That's fine.
I also just didn't see the footage of you doing it anywhere. I looked through the online stuff, and I was like, well...
I think mine was on my phone, so I didn't...
And then we each had lines in front of Dana's place, so I was like, I'll just throw both of them in there.
Yeah, that worked. Yeah, so after Columbus Circle, we ran over to 55 Central Park West.
Yep.
And saw the church, obviously, which is very iconic just because it gets stepped on.
Yeah, I had to throw that in there.
Beyond that, I don't really give a shit, but...
Yeah.
People are liking my photo. I'm like, do you realize this is from Ghostbusters and it's not just me posting a picture of a church online? Like, I hope you understand me as an individual here. So,
yeah, I'm on Stay Puft's side in that one, but other than the architecture, we could use that building for something else. As long as it's just not used for that anymore, I'm good.
And then seeing that, it was amazing. And then, kind of going up by the door.
Anyway, yeah, the door was dope. we did all those quotes. Then we did the...
And the doorman there has probably, this whole weekend, everyone was just like, yeah,
he has
so
lots
many
of screen
fans are going
time.
by. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, for sure.
Doorman there's probably like, these fuckers stop? But at least we weren't in jumpsuits like the whole time, right? Because, at least there then, we were kind of dressed up a little nice for the premiere.
And then Alec didn't even have a stunt double when he did his...
No, and he did that jump over the...
I did it twice.
Impression.
He did it twice.
He did it twice. I think the second time was better.
That's the one I used in the video,
And
so hopefully...
Remember you were bitching about doing it. I said, I don't think
that's
you threw
because
your leg
you
up
didn't
as
do that.
You
It
got mad at... I was like, dude, I think you should do it better. You got to, like, exaggerate the leg a little bit more.
For those who don't know, when you hop on the other side of that fence on Central Park, it's probably an additional at least 2 or 3 feet lower than it is on the other side, so it's like...
It's a little bit of a drop.
6 foot tall man, he's okay.
That's why I'm saying, like, I was able to do it without dying, obviously. I did it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was good, though. It was nice.
I had to get that footage, though.
And I love how you struggle to get your leg up and over. Like, that just sealed the deal for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that was intentional.
I was giggling
That's
when you
acting.
were doing it.
And then at that point in time, we were really getting super antsy about, like, okay, we got to get over here and get in line. And even though they were doing, like, the red carpet, the 50 people that were going to do that, they started kind of lining that up. That was kind of a whole other thing, and that was really stressful. And just
I was getting anxious for sure.
The anxiety was like full mode because you're like, okay, what's going to happen? Who are we going to see? What's going to go on with this?
And then it was just lots of waiting.
Yes,
But you're already there and you can't leave.
It was cool to talk to people.
Yeah,
in the line and stuff.
And we gave out the rest of our. I mean, we gave out every single.
We took turns going down to the red. The line was right around the corner from the red carpet, and you can be right there on the red carpet. You're just separated by a security barrier, and but then they wouldn't want you to stand there, so you kind of have to keep walking. But then you can walk to a certain side, and they don't bother you. And then you could see all the people coming out of their cars,
sure,
which is cool. And then you get some, false alarms with random just Uber driver people getting out, and you're like, oh, is it a star? No, it's not. It's
just random people getting out.
But I did see Carrie Coon get out, and I saw Logan Kim on there in person, from 10 feet away. But that's all I saw at that time.
I saw Carrie really close to me signing autographs, and
yes, I saw her signing autographs, and she was like, there was too many people. I wasn't going to try to do it. I was like, I should debate getting my poster out here, but there's like enough people here that I don't want to be that guy that's like, will you also sign mine if you're going to... And she eventually did walk away, so I was like, all right, good. And she says...
I saw her at the other end, like where the 50 people were in that little box.
Yeah, the bullpen or whatever they call it.
Yeah. That's where I saw her, but yeah. So I was just walking back and forth, just trying to see different actors or whoever I could see, take videos and pictures of whoever I could, and then...
But we got there early enough. There's
forth.
like a little bit of a group kind of standing right at the beginning of the red carpet, and we're like, well, what are they doing here? Kind of what's going on with
Eventually, there was another small group forming there.
Yeah.
And we could have been there theoretically, but that's when I was there when Carrie Coon was signing stuff for people there.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, oh man, I could almost...
Well, I was going to go back...
She's like the only one that signed anything that I ever saw, so like it would have been...
Well, the hype got real, though, when we first got there and we were just kind of looking around at the red carpet because you're like, we already knew the Ecto was going to be there because we'd seen it be dropped off, right? And then, or we saw it dropped off and where it was at. And then we see this whole display. It says Ghostbusters Afterlife, and they had all those mini puffs on the shelf. And I'm like, oh my God, those are the Hasbro mini puffs. They're not even like out yet, but they've got them all here. And there's probably, 50 or 100 of them at least all over this little display.
Yep.
And they had the Ecto Cooler stuff everywhere. And that's when it hit me like, we're for sure going to see the Ecto Cooler tonight. So at that point it was like, is it going to be in our theater? Where's it going to be? We don't know. And then, AMC had their own staff out there, like trying to work with the crowd to get everybody in there. And it was like trying to make the whole thing. And there was a little bit of a cluster with that because like, what side of the street are you on like that? And then I didn't see anybody on the red carpet. I didn't even go over there because Liz and I went and hit this little Italian restaurant up the street.
I went out and scouted it. There was
had some food. Yeah, you went and scouted it for drinks, and we went up there and we just sat at the bar and had a little meal, just something to tie us over. And at that point, we got back in line. I was like, I don't want to miss out on where we're going to be at in the theater necessarily for this, but that worked out in our own favor anyway later. So
yeah, it paid off, but little did we know that we had to just find seats, because.
And so like this whole time, I was like, man, I didn't see anybody on the red carpet. I was starting to get like a little disappointed that like I wasn't nothing. That like the night had just peaked when we started going into the theater, and when we kind of got in there, and we finally go through and load, and like they give us those little wristbands that look just like the old Kenner armband, right? And I'm like, okay, that's a really nice touch. You see everyone.
You're right.
Those.
I didn't even that didn't click with me.
Yeah, that was designed just to
No, it
match.
didn't,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, that's what it looked like, though. I instantly recognized it. I was like, that's what this is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
so that was a real nice touch.
I picked up an extra one that was sitting in a seat that Timmy just discarded, and I was like, why would you discard this?
I found one that wasn't even punched, so I got that for my shadow box. Yeah, I
Mine's
grabbed that on the way
still. I was able to slide it off my wrist.
Me too.
So I have it, and
he only did like the first knot, and like
together still.
So and then we go into the theater. We go up to. We're kind of in the balcony section, right? That's where our seats are listed as, and they're all assigned seats. They give you a ticket. Here's your theater number. Here's your stuff. We go up there, and there's people in our seats, and like this real nasty woman. Sorry, I'm gonna.
I
quote
missed
Trump
this
there.
whole thing, by the way. I didn't even know she was nasty to
Liz. Because we're right in front. I think
because I was the last one in the line walking.
Yeah, and so we go up there and like, we're like, you're in our seat. She's like, people are sitting wherever they want, so just find another seat. And it was like, whoa.
First of all,
and then there's 4 of us, or technically 5, because Jeff was with us too, and we'd all been in line just talking and everything. And there's not 5 seats together anywhere at this point because people are literally sitting wherever they wanted. So I looked down from the balcony and I'm like, if we're sitting wherever we want, I'm sitting down there.
Yeah. 100%.
So we went down there, found some good seats, all got everything lined out.
She was just nasty. I mean, the way you describe, I didn't hear anything, but it's like, at least be nice or pleasant. Like, hey, sorry, no.
Thankfully, nobody came to our seats and was like, hey, you're in our seats.
Yeah.
Well, then it would be like, sorry, like, go kick the people out of our seats.
our
I was about to go get an usher, I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, do I have to go get somebody to figure this out?
Right.
Because I was pissed, because I'm not going to miss the premiere because I'm not in my seat. And then the high C thing.
Yeah. So we get downstairs. We're stressing out because I assumed high C was throughout the entire theater. Incorrect. So
yeah,
there was a more just a premiere invite group seating down below in the lower level. The upper level in our balcony was like all the Ghostbusters fans that were invited, right?
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple of screenings. I'm not sure how many total they did, but I've seen different tickets based on the room you're in. They did, so
they did different tickets.
So we run back upstairs real quick, and like, I think Liz and Jeff kind of stayed down there by our seats, which stressed Liz out because she's like, "Well, you just sat me here and like you ran off," and I'm like, "I'm a
ecto cooler, bitch."
I'm sorry, I'm a
ecto cooler. That's all you got to know.
You have no control at that point. You're just like whatever. So we ran up there, get our ecto cooler, and like we're just kind of grabbing them from like open seats because people were saving
Well, I saw that
seats.
one. We went.
Yeah.
I only saw the one.
Well, I went upstairs. We went back upstairs. I think we went back upstairs, and then I saw one just in a random seat by itself.
It was like musical chairs. I thought there were 2 ecto coolers and there were 3 of us, and you both went for the 2, and I was like, oh shit. This one was sitting next to. There were 4 seats, 2 people, and a third one, and there was stuff in front of the seat, and I was like,
yeah.
But there was another one in the other empty seat, so I was like, fuck them.
Yeah,
they all still have one.
The first one, I was trying to be cordial and nice. I'm like, hey, they took my seats, and this is open. You guys care if I take this? And they're like, no, man. I was like, all right, I just took it.
And the fact of the matter is,
I think you got yelled at or somebody said something.
Jeff Shrek saw me grab one. He's like, hey, and I was like, hey, dude, like, there's people in our seats, so I'm just grabbing one from an open seat now.
Yeah.
And which was fine because the balcony was not full because other people sat down lower in the theater too.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that there was just not enough ecto cooler to go around. And
we saw those tables of it, though.
That's true. They should have just been, when they handed us our tickets, they should have had another person hand us an ecto cooler. So at least everybody got one.
Right.
Everybody gets one, and then you can fuck around with all the spare ones and extra ones.
My only kind of regret a little bit with the ecto cooler is that you guys drank yours during the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't because I wanted to save it. And then now looking back, it's like, man, maybe I should have drank it during the movie. Just because of the nostalgia and drinking ecto cooler, watching a movie I've been waiting for 32 years for.
That was my whole thing with it. I was like, because we immediately
I didn't drink it, so I saved it.
We saw people put them on eBay for like $50 to like
immediately
$700. You're like, fuck you. That's just asinine. And the thing is, like, those people aren't even true fans because they would have just kept that for themselves.
Oh, don't even be the guy that says true fans.
I just mean, if you were just like somebody else invited into the theater that
I know, but I can't let you get away with saying that phrase.
Oh, whatever. All right. Anyway, so I was like, well, I'm only going to watch this at the premiere one time. So I cracked mine and drank it. So I've still got the bottle, but I'm like, what's it going to do? Rot on the shelf?
And then I thought, I still have a few cans in my beer fridge downstairs of the 2016 ecto cooler.
Yeah, I'm like,
I could maybe I should have drank it, and then I could fill it up with the other one just to have the green.
Yeah.
And then put the cap back on.
I mean, I've still got the juice box and stuff from the last release.
I got, quite a few of them.
The main difference, though, this time is
just the Slimers on it.
Slimers on it.
And
that's the whole reason they can't sell it, because the marketing laws have changed to children. So.
100%. So I felt like maybe I will drink it one day here soon when I watch it again.
Take it to the theater with you when you go see it again.
Take a Crunch Bar, take some Cheez-Its, and take the Ecto Cooler.
Dude,
and
that's
some
a good
Twinkies,
idea.
man. Like, fucking go full out.
Dude, because Cheez-Its are one of my favorite snacks. Outside of Ghostbusters, like, Egon was right. I mean, that's one of the best snacks.
Mhm.
And then Crunch Bar, Twinkie, Ecto Cooler, wash it down.
So we get our
That'd be
Ecto
heaven.
Cooler. We go
Maybe
back.
I'll wait for my house, and we'll just, like, do a thing at my house. We can do, like, a big night.
Yeah.
And we could just,
when it releases. Yeah, because you got that nice home theater down there.
Yeah, we could do that, and then
Oh, yeah.
Ecto Cooler. Maybe put a little vodka in it.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love. The Crystal Head vodka with the high C.
Yeah, we
Ecto
get some
Cooler.
Crystal Head. That's a good idea.
That's what I always do.
All right, we can do
That's
that.
what everybody does.
Yeah.
Who, you know, I mean, come
All
on.
right, Debbie. Guys' night. Sorry. Just
So
FYI.
we get back down to our lower level seats with our Ecto Cooler in hand. So mission successful.
A little bit of stress gone. Just because I have an Ecto Cooler in my hands. But I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm going to have to, like,
felt like that
fight
was the
someone
last-
for it.
I
That
was
was the last
paranoid the
thing
whole time that someone's going to come up and be like, "You're in the wrong seats."
Yes.
I honestly
so-
wasn't thinking that. I was just, I don't know. As soon as I got the Ecto Cooler, I was like, all right, fine. I'm good. I can watch
Yeah.
the movie now.
So I sat down and then I was like, okay, you know, the other movie screening's got to be going. I'm not even sure what time it was at this point, but I'm like, okay, the other movie's got to be going already or close to it, right?
I figured we're going to get an introduction by Jason and maybe Ivan.
Yeah, so
That's what I figured.
Jason comes
Yeah,
in,
I
he
did
walks down there in front, gets the mic. He's like, "Hey, Dad, are you coming down for this? Or where's my dad?" "Oh, hey, Dad." Okay, so Ivan walks down. So we're like, okay, we've met both these guys at FanFest. Really cool.
Mm-hmm.
To have a director introduce the movie to you, amazing, right? We had Greg Sestero do that with his movie when he was at the room screening here. Awesome. It's always just like levels things up a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then they chat for a second. He's like, "Well, let's bring in the cast."
Well, the cast was already lining up at this point.
Yeah, at the back, but I wasn't.
All of them except Dan were there. And I noticed this and was filming it, so it's in the video that you'll have at some point.
Well, Dan showed up.
He
Dan
did,
did show up, but he just wasn't lined up on the side, is what I was saying. Because I noticed, oh, wait, there's Carrie Coon. Oh, that's McKenna Grace. So that's oh, wait.
Logan
And then
Kim,
all
like,
of a sudden,
everyone's there.
Paul Rudd. And you're like, wait, okay, is everybody coming in then? Sweet. And I didn't even notice because of all of them that Finn Wolfhard wasn't there till afterwards. Because I was just so like...
I didn't see him on the red carpet. Nor
I don't think anybody did. Or Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney. She wasn't going to be there. And then, but Finn and Annie Potts didn't show up on the red carpet either.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that's fine.
Exactly.
I mean, I would have loved to see her in person.
Right.
You know, she went to Columbia College's Stevens.
Oh,
College?
really?
Yeah, she went to. She did her undergrad in Columbia. Just FYI.
Interesting. Maybe
So,
think I have a chance?
they walk in, they do their little introduction, which we've got video of it. I'm sure it'll be up, but pretty surreal. For me at that moment, that's what made it. I was like, I didn't see any of the red carpet stuff, so I was kind of like at that point, I'm like, oh, I'm still seeing it early. I'm still at the premiere.
That was Bill Murray getting to do like 10 seconds of shtick for us, which was like, he was just munching on popcorn, which is hilarious
He's the
already.
only one, like everybody's like.
Everyone's
like-
super serious, and Bill is just being
he
Bill,
goes, I don't know why you're here, but I know why we're here. It's because of this movie, I guess. You know, he's just being very Bill. It was beautiful.
Yeah, like every story you've ever heard about Bill is like basically that's him in real life, right? You know.
Yeah.
And so he has
He's just
that
walking
vibe.
out, just eating popcorn, just sitting there waiting. For
Oh, and here's
everything.
Dan Aykroyd. He's late.
Yeah, he's talking shit on Dan for showing up late because Dan like just shows up, and then Dan's still doing his thing where he thinks he's fucking Ray Charles wearing sunglasses all the time. Well, like motherfucker, take those glasses off.
I don't
Like, are
understand how
high?
you can see. I mean,
I don't know. Unless he's
in
on
a dark theater like that. Like, I mean,
unless he's on TV.
He's stoned out of his mind, man.
Yeah, he probably is. You know, he's got the.
You think?
Well, him and Jim Belushi have the Blues Brothers brand pot. I'm sure he is.
I hope so.
Do they really? I didn't know.
They
that.
retweeted me once because I posted a picture of some weed on a Blues Brothers record.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Who retweeted with you?
Or
retweeted?
The Belushi farm account.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jim Belushi has a marijuana farm. Yeah,
I had
and
no
so they have
idea.
the Blues Brothers strain and branding on one of them.
Well, then obviously, yes, that makes more sense now.
So we get this introduction, and then they kind of file everybody out, and of course we're down low, and we're just enough seats in so we're not at a crappy seat to view the movie from, but we're close enough that when everybody walks by, you're just like, you're like, if you wanted to be a crazy person and lunge, you would have been successful, right? And if that's the way your mind worked. But,
momentarily, yes.
Yeah, complete momentary insanity. But we decided to respect that, and of course...
We decided that? I don't think that was an option that came up, but apparently it was.
I was this close to going up to Paul Rudd and be like, Chiefs, selfie, you know, like, let's go Chiefs, tomahawk chop or something, but nah, I didn't.
Well,
Obviously,
so
I didn't want to get in
you
trouble.
did that yell out when they're introducing, like, Paul Rudd, you know, as the, cast goes down, introduce themselves, and Jerry yells out Chiefs, and he kind of points in our direction. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, go Chiefs, and he looked over at me in our group, and he's like, yeah. And
so he knew that, and then, as they're filing out, I'm like... I got a video of it somewhere, so just watch it when we release it. But, I yell at Paul about Big Slick Charities and Chiefs and stuff, and yells at that. And so, just kind of that shout out there,
and
too.
I think Alex said some around, from Kansas City or something like that. He's like, yeah, Kansas City, baby.
Something like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so, we got Paul's attention there. And so it's just like, man, we're so proud of Paul.
We love
being
the Big
from
Slick
here.
charity, I think is what you said.
Yeah, and, that's one of those things here, I just read that they've raised over $13 million for Children's Mercy Hospital here in town. So,
yeah, that's cool.
The philanthropy going into that is awesome too, just because I love seeing celebrities that are grounded in reality and still helping out.
And he knows where he's from, and he benefits the city. And on top of that, he promotes Kansas City and all that stuff. That's why I love him. He's not lost from where he's from,
for sure. And so to me, that was a really magical moment in there. And then obviously, they start the film. No trailers or anything. You're at the premiere. They just go right to it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We had no time to prepare. Once he stopped talking, I was like, oh, shit. There's a Sony logo. Shit.
Yeah, there's the Columbia lady.
And then Alec goes, stop that. To me, because he was on his phone. Yeah. Because I had my cell phone out. I was texting Debbie, hey, movie is about to start. Because my girls called me, and I was like, I got to get my seat. And they were texting me, I'm trying to put the phone away in do not disturb mode, and Alec goes, stop that. Last second, I was like, oh yeah, I'm putting it away.
Yeah.
So,
what do we do? So we watched the movie, right? And the one thing, Jason didn't tell us to stay through the credits, but we kind of already knew that because we'd already seen the Comic-Con footage, right? And so...
Nowadays, you almost have to stay through credits for most.
Well, and we watch the credits anyway. We know people in the film industry. It's just one of those things. You're always curious of who does what or whatever else.
There's at least one thing I'm curious about and want to see in the credits always.
Yeah, for sure. So that's just a courtesy thing to me anyway. So we stay. Obviously, we're done with that. We watch the movie, and I remember just fucking sitting there. I was fucking emotionally drained. We've seen all these sites.
You were the last one to stand up.
Yeah, Justin was in shock. I had just finally, when the credits rolled, I let my emotions go and cried for the entire credits. That's when my crying was going.
I fought the tears back 3 times, and I was like, I should have just let it go, but I was like, I don't want to miss any part of the movie because I'm wiping my eyes. I was like,
I wasn't doing it. I was like,
yeah, no, I was no. But at the end of the movie, it was just an emotional dump because the culmination of all this, we've waited for this movie our entire lives. We get an introduction by the cast. We see everybody there, and
we're 10 feet from Bill Murray.
There's so many emotional parts in this movie. It's just
just talking about it out loud, and then the way you're Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, everybody's there, and you're just sitting there obviously Harold. It's my favorite. He wasn't there, but the tribute to him in the movie, and then how emotional was at the end, and 32 years waiting for a proper another sequel. I'm I don't know, it was just surreal. I'm still trying to put my arms around it.
The first viewing was very emotional. The second viewing, because I went again this weekend, I was like, okay, it'll be a little different. But I was just sitting there. Everyone's and I was sorry, I'm just I am overwhelmed, but I'm drained, but I'm just I'm in shock, just literally in shock from that movie. I was okay, that's what it, and that's, and
obviously I'm gonna dissect this movie more and more as I see it. I've seen it twice now, but the little things, the little RGB real Ghostbusters ghosts, the
Bug-Eye Ghost,
Bug-Eye Ghost right there you have on the wall.
Yeah.
When I saw that during the premiere, I was I think I might have nudged you or something, Alec, and I was like, fuck, they even threw a little real Ghostbusters nod.
Yeah,
I thought that was super cool. Those kind of things, it just I don't know. You can't put a value on experiencing that
the way we experienced it, right? I would have, we were all lined up to do a bunch of premieres and stuff here, right? And then I was gonna try to switch my kids' weekend, and then once I found out about the premiere, I'm okay, priorities premiere, do the dad stuff as normal, and I'll hit the Saturday premiere with the Midland crew. But after the movie, like, right, it was like, okay, we just kind of sat there, and then we kind of, like, exited out and didn't really see anybody out, just kind of on the way out, and we had a few more film sites to hit.
We talked to Jeff for a second, just while we were still at the theater, because even he was, none of us knew what to say. We were just like...
Yeah, it was an overwhelming experience, and it was a great feeling, though. I mean, it was just like one of those things, like, we did it.
And also, I felt a little sad afterwards because not only that our fun weekend like was drawing to a close, but the fun, like the whole thing, the
lead up,
build
the
up,
anticipation,
but the build up,
the
build up of over 32 years. I mean,
especially the last 2.5 years have been nuts since it was announced fully. You're like,
well, I told you guys like when. I kind of ruled out. I lived out in the rural areas of Kansas City a little bit when growing up, and then when I got internet and AOL, and you're dialing up and all that stuff. One of the main things I would search for was Ghostbusters 3. And then it was always the stories of Bill Murray not reading the script and not wanting to do it. He wanted to come back as a ghost, or they had to kill him. All these stories that we all know.
Oh yeah, we're sure gonna get Ben Stiller in there as a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, and we're gonna start shooting
Chris
in the
Farley.
fall. We're gonna shoot in the spring. It's like the standard. Like, okay, we heard that for like 20 years, so like you almost become jaded. And then
but then like it actually happens, and you're like. All these years of like researching and like talking to people about the concept of a third movie and all this stuff, and it actually happens, and you see it, and then afterwards you're like, oh my god, like it's over, like it's done now. I mean, granted, hopefully the universe will continue with Ghostbusters and subsequent sequels, but I don't know. I was sad at the same time, like just euphoric.
It was intense. And so after we left the theater, we had a couple more sights to see. So we had to hit the Tavern on the Green because we were close, but we just didn't.
Yep.
We had that anxiety of like we got to get in line. We don't want to miss anything over here. So it was like, okay, we probably
FOMO.
Yeah, we could have gone over and done it, right? Hindsight, but whatever. So we hit Tavern on the Green and get the signs, walk around over there, kind of go through Central Park. Walking through in the middle of the night, and it's like kind of like Home Alone 2 vibes, right? Like, yeah, where's the bird lady at? So we can say we walked through Central Park at night, probably when everyone's like, well, I don't know if you should be there. Well, the people said that at Skid Row when we went to the LA Firehouse. So
it's not Manhattan like it was in the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's fairly safe in the Central Park.
Besides, if you're shooting heroin, you don't even need to be in the Central Park to do that now. You can just do that on the streets.
Yeah,
it's even easier. And then we hit Columbus Circle area over there, right?
Yeah.
For where you see Stay Puft, the big reveal, and then you also see some of the Vince Clortho stuff. Yeah. And that was kind of like the last bit of the
That statue's
tour.
also seen in Ninja Turtles in that scene, because that's like the intersection where the purse is kind of stolen, and they run down there to where we.
And so, I mean, we had the night. We got back to the hotel, and then was like, okay, let's. So we went and had a couple celebratory drinks, and like really mellowed the night out, but that was a great way to end the night, and then we had an early morning, but that was intense. And so, do we want to talk a little bit of like initial reactions and spoilers now and kind of jump into that? I don't want to do an intense breakdown, but I think we could just talk about how you felt about the movie right as we're leaving the theater. Like, what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, I guess we can throw a spoiler warning on here.
Yeah, spoilers from now until forward.
But we're not. This isn't a full review. This is really, we're trying to talk about that first weekend reaction, which we just were too fucking tired and exhausted. And if we had podcasted, it would have just been like stuttering and like weird shit. Yeah. I think.
And I mean, and we could have recorded on the phone, but since we lugged everything there, we would have wanted to set up right. And I think we're just kind of in the vibe of like, hey, let's just go sit and talk. And we had a really nice conversation about it around some drinks.
Yeah, and then when we got back from the bar, Alec and I talked to like 3:30. I think it was 2 extra hours
watching Real Ghostbusters and eating. I had a New York City bagel.
Yeah,
and we
threw up a Real Ghostbusters cartoon on the TV.
Oh yeah,
on YouTube, and then because I remember looking at when we got back and then looking at my phone, setting the alarm. I was like, shit, we've been talking 2 hours just about the movie and Ghostbusters in general.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction was like the movie was great, right? And even when I left.
I could tell while we were sitting and watching it. Oh man, I have some problems here, but I was ignoring them, and I was like, these aren't big enough problems to ruin anything for me. And I still am. I was in love with the characters, so
The characters are what did it for me, right? And to your point, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, how would you rate it?" You know, and people are like 100% out of 10. And part of that's hype, but part of me is a realist, right? And we rate movies and we talk about movies on here. There's a few things in there that, as I've read articles since then, and as I've heard some interviews and things like that, I'm like, okay, I would love to know more about this. I understand why there's not really an explanation in there, but there's a fair number of questions that weren't answered in that movie, and I was really...
Real question is here, where do you rank it next to Ghostbusters 2?
That's hard because nostalgia is tied to Ghostbusters 2.
Exactly.
And I genuinely like Ghostbusters 2 as a movie itself, outside my fandom of it.
Well, let me put it this way, right? If you're going to break down side by side with Ghostbusters 2, they're on a pretty even keel for me. I'd almost say I like this a little bit more, and that may just be in the moment because it's fresh.
And we were at the premiere. You have to take that into account too, like how much...
I have emotional connections to this that are different than that, right? And so there's going to be some of that.
I would probably rank GB2 more over this, not just because of nostalgia, just because of the original 4 is part of it, and that was like, you know, Egon's my favorite, and he's in it, and all that stuff. So that's probably why.
The thing I liked about this so much, though, is there's a lot of beats, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's The Force Awakens of Ghostbusters." Yes and no, but it's a completely unique setting. There's some familiarity there with certain things.
And it's table setting for a whole nother...
Well, yeah, I think it's definitely The Force Awakens of it, but I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, but it's not rehashing plots in ways that don't make sense, because this is a god character that's going to try to come out and destroy people, right? That's Gozer's whole intention, right? So to get a little bit more background on that, I expected some of those similar beats, because you're going back to that with the Shandor Mine and all these things. And I guess the biggest
I think it's cool how they tied that the selenium girders and everything.
Yeah, that was a great way to take it out of New York City and still kind of have some of that plot. It was genius, right?
Like where they got the material to build the skyrise.
Yeah, and so like obviously he'd be doing something there too, right? Because anyone that's a true evil mastermind is going to have a backup plan. So I thought that was really well done. The one thing I was kind of predicting but didn't really pan out at this point, just because there wasn't time for it in the movie. And had you written it a different way, you may have had time. But like I thought, we're going to have some Gozer worshippers still like living within the town of Somerville, based on that, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of us assumed there was going to be some sort of actual cult of Gozer worshippers still living in this town.
And you know, there very well could be, but I mean, when she's like, yeah, Ivo Shandor's name's all over it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get that, right? Because obviously, you know, small towns do that kind of stuff. I mean, look at all the Civil War shit that's still like named after random people just because it was localized at the time. But I mean, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, some of the questions that were like, okay, how'd the guys get there at the end of the movie? You know, there's the whole debate going on. What about the 1A? I'm like, technically they're different cars.
I don't give a fuck about the 1A.
I don't know why that's a debate.
And I don't give a fuck about the video game. Those are the conversations in relation to this that I don't care about.
I like the video game, obviously.
I like it, but I don't give a fuck about it in relation to this movie. You know what
I mean, and is it canon? Maybe parts of it, you know, whatever you want to... I don't know. I'd have to go to revisit the video game.
If you ask
story.
Jason or Ivan, they'll tell you, no, not really. It's not canon.
Yeah.
But it's not exclusively not canon. It can be a part of your headcanon. It doesn't have to be just because there's a little bit of conflicting shit there, for sure.
Didn't it take place in like 91 in the game, like a couple years after 89?
Yeah.
So, I mean, so maybe, there's parts of it, whatever. But I wasn't concerned as much about that. 1A, I don't know why that's a debate. It's the same fucking car. They just upgraded it. And then I think what they should have done, in my opinion, was maybe with this newer, Afterlife version where it's kind of beat up and everything, maybe have some elements of 1A.
Like have a caution stripe running down the side on one of the sides would have been fine.
Be like, hey, we
something left over.
Like, we realized that the big fucking tank in the back was not necessary. Egon's like, let's strip that off. You know, things like that. And then like have the caution stripe or whatever, just to kind of have elements of 1A, just to know that it's still the same car.
The easiest way to change that, right, would have just to have the 1A license plate on there, right? Because in universe, the whole debate is kind of pointless. But while we're talking about it, right, the only reason the 1A
I hate that we're talking about it. By
the only reason it ever existed was because the other car has a different fucking VIN number when they registered to shoot in the fucking state of New York. That's the only reason why, because it's a different car. They didn't fuck up the first car. They bought another one and modded it.
No, why would they do that? Why would they buy a new car?
No, I'm talking about Sony when they filmed Ghostbusters 2. They didn't just mod the other car. You can see that there's a different back end on that. So they have different VIN numbers because at the beginning of the movie, the Ecto-1 has the new style license plate with the Statue of Liberty on it.
Yeah.
And then it changed. Why would you change your vanity plate for fun? You don't. That was required because it had a different VIN number to register while they're shooting in New York.
Wait,
In
reality.
In real life.
The 1A, the license plate in the front and the back, they changed it because they were shooting with a new car?
Yes, the 1A is a completely different car than the Ecto-1.
Yeah, but it's a movie. Why wouldn't you just put the Ecto...
They had to register it, though, so I don't know.
Oh, really? I mean, it's why would they have to register? It's just
To
a movie
drive it
car.
around, I guess.
Probably to be street legal up there because they
I don't
drove it
know.
around. It wasn't just on a trailer.
I think that, not for a movie. They don't give a fuck.
That's the only reason they would have the 1A on it. But
I
that's
think 1A
beside the
was
point.
just. I think it was just in the. They upgraded their
This
logo.
is trash. I would shut this off.
they updated their logo, the sign, and everything. It was like they reinvented themselves after '84, and that's why, in my mind,
Shut these all off.
why they did 1A.
So when people were talking about the ending, though, like I was just curious how they physically got there. Like I don't give a fuck how they arrived, but I didn't see a car or a fucking helicopter land and get them there. Like
Winston
you're in the middle.
flew them in.
Yeah,
and then they walked over.
Winston flew. Yeah, they took a private plane to the smallest nearest airport nearby. Okay, I get that. They didn't walk to that fucking farm.
Who's to say they didn't land in a crop field next door? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's one of those off-screen things, and I was like, okay.
It's one of those things where
and
those were filmed in L.A., and Dan, Bill, and Ernie were not in Canada.
I thought they went to Canada for a week for the filming. Maybe I'm wrong.
Unless they did studio stuff up there that I'm unaware of. Everything that they're in is in the studio.
The studio they used was in Canada, though. So the sound stage was in Canada and the external shots.
Well, then that's just fucking pointless, and they definitely should have shown how they got there. But
So-
hey, what are you going to do?
But, and then
I get it.
Beyond that, right, they say...
And that's just our fandom, like, coming out to be a little bit more detailed. Like, is it necessary? Not really.
And then the
but
other
for
questions,
us
right?
being, like, hardcore fans, yes. You know, it's like that fine line.
The other things that were like, okay, so the Starbucks, the firehouse is a Starbucks. Okay, you can write that off as, okay, that's a joke, no big deal. I didn't really care about that, but I've seen a lot of people like letting that ruffle their feathers. I'm like, whatever.
I think it's an annoying joke for sure, only because it doesn't seem like Dan Aykroyd's character. It doesn't seem like Ray is making a joke about that. It seems like he thinks and knows that to be fact.
Yeah.
That's why it seems off. If it seemed like he was like, oh, it's probably a fucking Starbucks. I don't know.
He said probably a Starbucks, yeah. Or it's, yeah. And then the other bit...
But I think that's, again, attributes to that ending credits scene being shot a few months ago.
Yeah.
When we all saw that happening. So that's it's forgivable in that sense completely. It's not a big deal.
Sure. And then I guess the other piece, though, for me was they say that Egon stole all this stuff. And I get that, but these guys show up with their flight suits and stuff, so did Egon steal most of the stuff that just they didn't physically have on them, right?
Right.
Well, and I don't really care either
they
way,
had their own
but
packs, I guess. But the thing, okay, about the flight suits, real fast. Why only Phoebe had Spangler? Why would Egon not have flight suits with his name tag on all of them? Especially Finn's Trevor. He should. You would think he would have. You know, he's a Spangler, right? Regardless, I'm just thinking, why did Spangler have extra flight suits without his name tag on him? I guess who cares, whatever. But I'm thinking it would have been.
It's just to make the movie make sense for people watching it, especially kids. Like if a kid is watching it, they'd be like, why does she, like Celeste O'Connor, why would she have it on there? A kid probably would be like,
Because
why?
they borrowed out of Spangler's locker.
yeah, but I mean, if they're all missing or ripped up, like
I
even
think it's
the
just to not confuse things.
No, I did find it funny that you see that Podcast had taken the time to write his own name.
Well, yeah,
on it.
that's a great bit.
I thought it would have been better if they had Spangler like put duct tape and then write Podcast over Spangler's thing. I think that would have been funny.
No,
I mean it was still funny with the Podcast written on there, but I was just thinking like Spangler should have just had his name tag on all of them.
It's very small stuff that like I just had questions for.
But that's the fanboy in me, like nitpicking.
That's the whole thing about like Carrie Coon's age and everything like that, and like why Callie would be that. And all that stuff about, like, I guess she's born sometime before Ghostbusters 1.
And I think based on that board Egon has, you kind of get that implication that, she was born then and while this was going on or whatever, so.
Well, I think Reitman, Jason, has an idea of her character as far as in the relation to Egon, her growing up and everything.
Yeah.
He's probably thought that through for hopefully another movie, like to connect the dots a little bit. I don't know.
Well, and he's kind of said that in some of the articles. Is like, he's got some of those ideas, and there's some explanations as to why that just this movie was not the place to explain that.
Yeah, well,
that makes sense.
And like we were talking about earlier, like what Marvel's done a great job is slowly building this universe over the years, and then DC comes in and it's like, oh shit, we got to make they're making a bunch of money, we got to like catch up. So they try to cram too much content, too much story into one movie, and then it just kind of ruins that movie where one movie could have been two.
Sure, yeah, and there's aspects of that everywhere, but I mean, overall the movie, like the second time I watched it, I enjoyed it so much, but that initial reaction was like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
so much fun in there, and I had a few issues with pacing just because it felt like they're writing some things off, like Ray's whole thing where he like verbally diarrheas like what happened to all the Ghostbusters while he's on the phone with Phoebe. I get it. You don't have any other way to get that across.
Right.
You have to make editorial decisions that get your story through in a way that people can digest and handle.
Well, and also, this movie is clearly for just not just the adults, but also it really is trying to reach out to kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be complicated to where you're not treating kids like morons or anything, but you're also still making it so they aren't super fucking confused and uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, you're making this movie for the people that are not as in tune with the Ghostbuster universe as us or things like that. You got to
as well as us. So
us.
that's the big fucking thing.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, like true. The knowledge we have of this is absurd, but
they did a hell of a job catering to us as the nostalgia aspect of it. So I mean, I have no complaints.
When people
there.
say this is like fan service, I'm like, well, there's fan service in it, but a lot of the fan service in this movie drives the story in ways that make sense. That you're rehashing it, but based on what we already know. Mm-hmm. That was going to kind of happen anyway, so I don't have any qualms with that. It was just some of the questions I would love to know more, and that's just because I'm invested in these characters. It's not because I'm like trying to cut the movie down. It's just because I was like, okay, well, I would like to know how and why we got here, and I'm hoping we'll get some of those stories later on, whether that's through comics, whether that's through cartoons, or whatever that looks like, right? I mean, you could do...
They kind of explain in the comic, right, Winston during the courtyard or courtroom scene in GB2. Like, what happened to Winston? Like, you kind of forget about that when you're like, he was just there and now he's left, and he was ushering people out of the courthouse and all that stuff. Maybe they'll fill that in.
Maybe he was forced out of the courtroom because he wasn't supposed to be there. So then he was outside.
Yeah.
Oh, and he just fucking left and went and got a sandwich.
No, when the Scolari Bros show up, he was nowhere to be found.
Exactly. I'm saying maybe he was ushered out of the courtroom because, he's not part of the case.
Yeah, but when the Scolari brothers show up, like, everybody's just panicking.
But he would have been far enough outside that it wouldn't have shown, and maybe he already left to go get a sandwich. That's what I'm saying. He was eating a meatball sub. Go get me 2 meatball subs around the corner.
Well, his friends are on trial. I don't think so.
So I guess as we kind of wrap this up,
well, he certainly didn't help. Whether that's a character trait or bad writing, we'll never know.
I will say that was one of my favorite things, though, was just seeing like Winston finally get his moment to like, become like the top guy, right? I mean, let's face it, he's the most active performer out of this group still, right?
I also just watched Basketball Diaries last night. Have either of you seen that?
I haven't. He's in that though, right?
He's in it as a just sort of like basketball player in New York City that always goes to the park and meets Leonardo DiCaprio's high school character and like plays ball against him because they're both really good, and he has like that sort of like, hey, white boy, what's going on relationship.
Oh, really?
So here's one thing that they really
Leonardo DiCaprio's a heroin addict at a Christian basketball school.
What's the name of the movie?
Basketball Diaries.
Basketball Diaries.
And his best friend is Mark Wahlberg.
So did anyone else catch the Winston line about his kids?
Yeah, he did it. He built his empire for his kids.
Yeah, and so that's a whole other thing. Is like as they try to expand this, right? You could have his family ghostbusting in New York, where you start doing other things, right? Or you could introduce other characters there, right? So I think it really set the door up for that. But just to have him be the badass, the successful one that's like really coming through and being like, yeah, I've gone through all this.
Also,
he can be the Egon for the Extreme Ghostbusters.
I might be a sick motherfucker, but I really hope we just never see Oscar just to piss people off. at this point because I've heard so many
Yeah,
people are like,
he's gonna
"Oh,
be
I
a
wish
Ghostbuster."
Oscar is in this."
He would have been a Ghostbuster and all that stuff.
It doesn't fit the story, though. This story's about Egon's family, so that doesn't make any sense.
Why isn't Slimer there?
Slimer didn't make the trip to
Why didn't
Somerville,
Louis
Oklahoma.
Tully live in Somerville?
I did see a hilarious comment saying, like, you know, like that Slimer and Lewis should be like rooming together in New York as like an Odd Couple style TV show. I was like, God damn, that's brilliant. I would love that as a Netflix series.
Like an animated series, they'd probably have to do that.
But I didn't know you got your license.
Yeah, just him hanging out with Slimer and Slimer like making a mess and him
Making a
cleaning
mess
up
is
after
like-
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you can occasionally have Venkman there too because you know he lives in New York still, clearly from that shot.
Well, yeah, and he's still doing Venkman's taxes or whatever else and stuff like that.
And
so,
Slimer
yeah.
and Venkman interacting is always great.
What was the school that Ray mentions that Venkman teaches at? Because that will tell us where he's at specifically. Is it in New York? I don't know. I don't remember the name of the school.
It looked. I don't know. Maybe it's in my head even, but I just pictured them
He
in New
mentions
York.
the school name. I'm pretty
the
sure.
lighting in their apartment. The apartment. Just
I mean, the
said
apartment.
New York to
but,
me.
True, but it really could be apartment almost anywhere.
I know. But
he says the name of a school that he's teaching marketing and advertisement. I'm just wondering where that school is.
Sure.
Well, and I don't remember the name of the school, so
no, I don't either.
And these
we'll
characters,
have to dissect it later.
These characters work so well together, though. It's like you almost kind of want to see like what their normal life was like, just to some degree, right? Because that bit with Dana fucking with Peter while she's got him hooked up to the machine, he's like, "Well, to be honest, I only did it to the male students," and then she zaps him again. You're like, "Yes, that's amazing."
That was funny.
She's like, "Did you mark the cards?"
And I was trying to see the second time around if they did mark it. For the movie. I
didn't see anything on that.
No, I
yeah.
couldn't see anything.
But no, overall, man, I walked out of there.
Aren't those somebody else's cards that you can buy a recreation that they bought to just use for the movie too? Who
Probably
makes those?
there's somebody that sells those on Etsy that has them, but as far as I know, like the one set I've seen that's the full size cards, it's only like one of each style, so it's not like a full deck.
Well, they did only show the wavy lines, the star.
Mm-hmm.
I like how he said, no, 3 wavy lines. Because in the first movie, the guy's like, a couple wavy lines. And I'm like, did he get zapped because it wasn't 3 wavy lines?
Yeah. He doesn't even look at the card, though. You don't
Well,
even
no, that's
realize
the
that.
thing about that whole scene is she's getting every one of them wrong, and he's zapping him even when he starts becoming right. And he starts becoming right, like before that he's right too, right before the wavy lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the funny thing about it. It's like, I'm studying whether the negative reinforcements on ESP ability, which that in itself, those are high-level jokes that you don't get till later in life. You're not understanding that joke when you're a kid, really.
Right.
You understand that he's hitting on this woman, and that's still funny enough.
Right, right,
But then later on when you realize, oh, he actually is studying it while he's doing this too, though. Like,
Yes,
it actually
he's
makes
still,
sense
like,
by
learning,
really
yeah.
shocking him. He is getting him to display more ESP.
Yeah.
Like, then maybe my theory is correct. It is. That's what's crazy.
It is.
It's
yeah.
nuts.
And the best
Yeah,
part of that
you're
is,
right.
like, if you've seen the DVD commentary of the original Ghostbusters with Harold Ramis, he talks about how that's based off a real study, but the real study was based on how willing you were to shock another person.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, I thought that was a great scene with Sigourney in there, right? Because you didn't really have a good spot for her character. So just to see her, like, living her day-to-day life with Peter,
I actually
thought
forgot
was beautiful.
Sigourney was supposed to be in the movie the entire time until we saw it on the credits. I'm like, oh, yeah, Sigourney. And then it immediately cut to the...
Well, yeah, for me, that was a few things where I was waiting.
completely forgot
I was
about it.
waiting for her the whole time, and then obviously I'd been spoiled by social media of the scene shot in L.A. because I saw the containment unit loaded on the back of a truck, and I saw the Ecto-1 outside of L.A., so I was like, okay, well, at some point in time, they're going to show us something there, because I don't think that's just marketing based on that. Like, you're not going to reproduce a containment unit. The Ecto you already have, but you're not going to remake a containment unit just for a marketing shot. I don't think.
Right.
You would have borrowed a fans or something
I'm
else
so
like
glad
that.
I didn't
so.
see any of that shit before.
But yeah, so I saw that, and then you get to it, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it just really grinds my gears that we didn't get inside the goddamn firehouse in L.A. when we were there, so we could only see the exterior.
Either way, I think
almost-
my initial takeaways from this are basically, I love the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
The old characters was good. My biggest complaint and issue deep down inside that I have with this is just that the big bad villain is Gozer again, I think. That we're repeating the plot so much that way. The rest of the plot, it's not beat for beat the same movie like Ghostbusters 2 is. It's the same in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. I just have to learn to live with a little bit of that not to take that part too seriously and realize that I should just enjoy the characters more because that is my favorite part. So
I'm just thinking out loud here. Maybe since Harold Ramis obviously passed away, maybe revisiting the Gozer villain and the count, how he expanded it and it's more of a countdown throughout time and everything. Maybe that was the best way to, connect the dots on how Egon eventually passes away versus some random new story, River of Slime type thing that just randomly happens to Egon. It's more of, okay, this is relatable. Egon already knows this.
It plays into why he's out there, too. I mean, I get all that. It's tied into the kind of this movie. You can't just change this movie's villain and it be the same movie or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just...
But it's also, and I think this is like a place setting or a table setting for future Ghostbuster movies that, okay, this is the torch has been passed. We understand what happened to Egon. Gozer's now 100% defeated, assuming, right? And then
at least trapped anyway.
In various traps. Then they can take the franchise off to brand new, completely different adventures to do something different.
Yeah, and hopefully they don't have to go to the point where you shut down, ghosts and all that stuff, right? You want to see some of that long term because that's one of the things. Eventually we got down to one call a week, and I think you're like, okay. I mean, I guess if you're in New York, right, but obviously Peter was always interested in the franchise rights, right? So that's a line from the very beginning when you're talking about a business. So
I don't know if I want to see it go a more business franchisey route or just stay personal a little bit more.
I don't mind if they expand it a little bit, but you've got to come up with a compelling reason to do that because I don't want to just see a bunch of random people ghost busting and doing.
I think I just want it to stay personal a little bit more. I never really liked the whole idea of seeing a bunch of franchises with the Ghostbusters. I don't know why. It just doesn't sit with me.
In the comic, they had the Chicago outfit, and that was, I think.
That's what I mean. Like a little bit to some extent, it's fine. Like if it's related people and characters, but I don't want to see a bunch of new characters and stories like that. Like I do into some if they're just not like directly tied.
Well, and then you go back to that Ghostbusters animated series they teased at and talked about for a while that was supposed to take place in the future where it's all over the world because every country has some sort of different paranormal aspect or things like that you could talk about. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice way to kind of give us some actual closure on the Egon character and Harold Ramis really in general. And then to kind of give us some other stuff, right? It's a compelling story all on its own. And then it obviously gives us the opportunity to really grow. And if the growth is there and it's right, I'm all for it. But at the same time, if they...
I mean, I can make it bigger if I rub it.
if they don't go somewhere with it, right, I'm still happy to know that Winston finally got his day to say...
I think so, yeah.
I'm good.
Winston got his day. And then Bill Murray can... obviously I would love the guys to suit back up for another one, something. But if Bill Murray truly is done, at least he did this. We can bring closure to the Peter Venkman character, and know that he's living happily ever after with Sigourney Weaver, with Dana Barrett, kind of thing. Put that little thing in there, and I'm fine with that. And then Winston can take the torch and be the mentor and the guy that finances everything.
Yeah, I mean, I
going forward, and
the likelihood
Ray can be basically the manager who's in charge of all the research and shit, and just chills there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean,
you don't even have to put him
because Dan.
I think you give Ernie the leave, obviously, but you give Dan some. Oh, this episode we need a special. This movie, we need a small section with Dan in it.
Yeah,
because I think a TV series would be cool too.
He almost becomes your equipment guy, like in a James Bond flick, right? Where you're gonna kind of maybe see a little something there, but it doesn't have to be like overwhelming like story plot.
Right.
And just like you could easily bring Venkman back, is just someone schmoozing with these guys and having a conversation. Like, I don't care if I ever see Venkman bust a ghost again, honestly. That was enough for me. But his ability to improvise and do things like that is what's compelling. Like, what's he like running a business? That's interesting to me. Not him catching a ghost again, because we've already seen all that, right?
Speaking of it, I guess we finally saw Winston catch a ghost. Take Gozer.
Oh, they trapped Gozer, yeah. So we finally saw that happen.
Yeah. Right? Because everybody's talking about they've never seen Winston ever trap a ghost.
Oh, they haven't watched the real Ghostbusters?
Wow.
Trolling. So
trolling, we like to troll.
Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps us up. We'll do a full in-depth breakdown. We're going to have some guests on for that. You'll kind of hear back from us later.
Well, we'll probably do one that's just us too.
Yeah,
I want to do a couple of them because
there's a lot. I need
to say things about this that I don't want a bunch of other people around when I'm trying to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. No, and I think
but then we'll do those too.
Yeah, I think when we do have some other guests on to talk about their insights for it, see what it lived up to. But we'll do our in-depth breakdown. I think we're going to see it again this week for sure. Maybe Thanksgiving Day in the evening we can go check it out again.
I like the idea with the Crunch Bar and the Cheez-Its and acting cooler.
Take it all in. Take it in. Take it all in.
Do that.
Yeah, I need to go. I'm craving Cheez-Its now. This is bullshit. I don't have any.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will talk to you soon.